Hi, today is March 14th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 434 for the year, Revue. On Friday, I think I'm going to pump it up. There had been some discussion as to whether I would be tuning in the shine of the light night dial, but lately I've been on tenterhooks, ending in dirty looks, so here we are. Or rather, there we will be on Friday at the City Winery for Joe Hurley's Irish Rock Revue, where very many talented people, plus me, will sing songs by many of my favorite Irish artists, including Sinead O'Connor, the Pogues, Stiff Little Fingers, and Declan MacManus. The last of those being the one who I get to do. That's right, I will be doing Elvis Costello on the City Winery stage this Friday. Probably pump it up because that's what I put on the rehearsal sheet. I guess I'll know for sure tomorrow because that's when the rehearsal is. It's always a great show and there are still tickets available. The tickets are a bit pricey, which may be why some are still available. If you can't make it, I will try to remember to tell you about it. This is the 25th anniversary of the Irish Rock Revue and it won't be the same without you. Poem number 435, Ancestry. I can't remember for sure whether I performed at the very first Irish Rock Revue, but when I first started doing them back in the late 1990s or early 2000s, I thought I was more Irish than I am. I thought I had Irish blood on both my mother's and my father's side, but back in the mid-2010s, I was told by my brother and one of my sisters that they had gotten genetically tested and learned that they weren't the children of the man who was married to my mom. So I got genetically tested and I found out me too. I'm actually less than 10% Irish. The only Irish blood I have is on my mother's side, not my father's. On my birth father's side, I'm mostly Italian. I have a decent amount of French and German, too, maybe on both sides. I'm at least 80% Italian and French-German. That's a lot of not Irish in my blood. But ancestry isn't everything. There's what I feel in my blood as well. Facts may not care about my feelings, but I certainly do. Poem number 436. Initial reaction. Let me tell you, when I found out about my actual ancestry 7 or so years ago, it was almost quite literally a kick in the dick. Fortunately, it wasn't actually a kick in the dick, but metaphorically, it was a kick in the dick and in the stomach. It was almost quite literally a kick in the dick and a kick in the stomach, but it wasn't actually. It only felt like one or two. Maybe it was like two kicks. A kick in the dick and a kick in the stomach. Or maybe it was just one kick that hit me in the dick and the stomach at the same time. It doesn't really feel that way anymore. But when I first found out, that was what it felt like, a kick in the dick and a kick in the stomach. That was my initial reaction. Poem number 437, Charlatan. The fact that I am less than 10% Irish would make me feel like a bit of a charlatan at the St. Patrick's Day show that I will be performing at this Friday. Did I mention that already? Were it not for the fact that there will be several performers there who aren't Irish at all. So if I do in fact feel like a charlatan at the St. Patrick's Day show this Friday, it will be because of some other reason that is unrelated to my being less than 10% Irish. And the last poem, and the longest poem of the day, poem number 438, Culturally. I may be pretty fucking Italian, but culturally I still feel more Irish than Italian. Let me start again. Poem number 438, Culturally. I may be pretty fucking Italian, but culturally I still feel more Irish than Italian. I mean, sure, I love Goodfellas and The Godfather and Bicycle Thieves and Bertolucci and Pasolini and Antonioni and Vegan Spumoni and Rigatoni and sometimes Fellini and fuck yes, fettuccine, linguine, rotini, and maybe Irish food doesn't do it for me quite so much. But the Banshees of Inisherin blew me away. Maybe on Friday when I'm on the City Winery stage for the Irish Rock Revue. I told you about that, didn't I? Maybe I just want to say, I think the Banshees of Inisherin was robbed at the Oscars. It could have been a contender. Wait, it was a contender. But that's Brando. Let me get back to the first album I remember playing the living fuck out of when I was a kid. It was called Hardy and Hellish by the Clancy Brothers with Tommy Macon. And it kicks off with a fantastic song called The Irish Rover and really doesn't stop. In fact, now I remember that I used to use the second to last song of on that album to remember my ancestry. There's a line in Mr. Moses Raitouralaye where the judge asks the man under arrest, "Are you Irish or English or German or Dutch?" He was actually none of these. And so when people ask me about my ancestry, I would say I'm Irish and English and German and French. I just switched out the Dutch and replaced it with the French because that's what I thought I was. I actually got to see the Clancy brothers without Tommy Makem at town hall when I was a kid. I fucking loved the Clancy brothers, and I still do. And I was in either Dublin or Belfast the first time I heard a recording of the Pogues, right around the time or maybe right before Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash came out. And the first thing I thought when I heard Red Roses for Me was, fuck me, this is like the Clancy brothers. So, of course, I fucking adored them immediately. And the first day that I spent in Dublin, I drank 7 Guinness Stouts, which felt pretty fucking Irish to me. Plus, also, the first person to ever get me to understand that writing could save my life in high school was an English teacher who later won a Pulitzer, and he was as Irish as they come. I also liked his brother on Ryan's Hope. I mean, I fucking watched Ryan's Hope. That's pretty fucking Irish of me, isn't it? So when I get up on that stage on Friday for Joe Hurley's Irish Rock Revue at City Winery, I know I must have told you about that. I might not be all that fucking Irish genetically, but I will feel pretty fucking Irish culturally. Thank you for listening, and now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to try to learn how to play the Irish Rover on the ukulele. On the 4th of July, 1806, we set sail from the sweet Cove of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of bricks for the Grand City Hall in New York. 'Twas a wonderful craft, she was rigged fore and aft, and oh how the wild winds drove her. She set sail for a blast, and she had 27 masts, and they called her the Irish Rover. We had 1 million bags of the best Sligo rags, we had 2 million of stone. We had 3 million sides of wine horses' hides, we had 4 million barrels of bones. We had 5 million hogs and 6 million dogs and 7 million barrels of porter. We had 8 million bales of Onan Eagle's tails on board of the Irish Rover. All right, that's about enough of that. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you more than you can possibly know. Maybe I'll see you Friday.